and nationwide. We are W.A.R. We are resilient. I'm here with my co-host, Army veteran Michael Geary, founder and executive director of Hellfish Haven. And we have a guest tonight, right, Michael? We got a great guest coming on.
We do
So
indeed. I'm going to continue to talk about this little guy here, the mind, and ways that we can help it.
let me turn my phone down. Okay. What is that little guy?
So it is a stress ball / brain, and it will be in the safety plan ammo cans that working on creating.
Nice, nice. So our guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you might have seen her before. She was on my show, Oscar Mike Radio, and just we had such a great time. We want to have her back on to talk with us more about what she does. Again, she's an Army veteran, an absolute savage in veterans advocacy, just amazing. Gail McAuliffe, welcome to W.A.R. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. As always, I love it. I love talking to you guys.
So we got connected through, I think, LinkedIn, right? We got connected, Gail, through LinkedIn.
I don't even know. I think Oscar Mike came across my Facebook, and
Oh, it was Facebook.
I think I just emailed you guys because that's just the kind of obnoxious person I can be sometimes.
Well, she was emphatic, folks. And Elsa's checking in. Hello, Elsa. And you had this cool thing called Mass Helpline. And it's just for me, it's like I still can't believe that our Commonwealth, which can't get the T right, seems to have gotten this right. So, I know you kind of are involved at the state level, but I had to throw that in there with all the stuff going on. Kind of tell us what Mass Helpline, Help Us Here, is all about. Oh, did we
Gail, you
lose her?
still there?
Number is 833-773-2445, and that's 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a live helpline, and it will connect you to a trained professional on the phone that is a bachelor or master's level clinician that will do a risk assessment, and then based on that risk assessment, either connect you to like resources in your community or connect you out to one of the community behavioral health centers or a provider to get seen. And then if we need to do crisis intervention, we have mobile crisis intervention services. We have youth crisis intervention and adult crisis intervention services. So we're trying to not use 911 if we don't have to. We're trying to keep, those folks busy doing what they do. And we're trying to use the mobile crisis intervention. If for some reason we can't get them for whatever, maybe they're on another call or whatever, we will tap into 911 because we're not going to let anybody, anybody that we're dealing with, we're not going to let them suffer longer than they need to, right? So we're going to get somebody out there as soon as we can.
Just for the folks out there and kind of remind us, how did this program come to be? Because it just seems so new that it's hard to believe it's even happening.
Well, it is new. We started on January 3rd. We went live. That was our go live date. It really is a new service for residents of the Commonwealth. And it came about under the Baker administration, the roadmap for behavioral health, which is on the governor's website, and you can read about that on the governor's website. So it started under Governor Baker, and the new administration has adopted it. And really, this started before COVID, and then I'm sure COVID slowed it down for a lot of reasons. But now it is an active line that's up and running.
So that was the thing that kind of got me, Michael, is I'm listening to this and with no judgment, no whatever. If you're having anything from a bad day to a full on, mental health crisis, you can call, you can text, you can even, I think, get the chat engine going.
Yep, we have a
And,
chat, text, and
yeah.
call. So you can call, text, or chat. Uh, and you're right, you said it. If you need community supports, maybe you need, food services because you have some food insecurity, or you need some, other kind of community services, peer support, a grief support group, something like that. Connect you to those resources in your community, but all the way up to and including, actual crisis intervention.
Michael, you've been doing this for a while with Hellfish Haven. What's it like knowing that you could add this resource to your website and what you do in veterans outreach and advocacy?
For us, it's big because you had the launch of 988 over the summer, and that system got overwhelmed instantly as soon as it launched, and the numbers coming out of that are just crazy to see how much actual need is out there. By seeing that the numbers go out and seeing that go, it's definitely something that needs to be out there, and we're definitely appreciative that it is out there. Gail, how do you guys manage to staff that need?
I mean, mental health staffing, behavioral health counselors, it's kind of a nationwide problem right now, so we're constantly recruiting. I mean, as we speak, we're recruiting. We're recruiting counselors, we're recruiting, peer support staff, we're recruiting everybody. And it's just going to be a continuing process, I think, because even if we were 100% staffed, the burnout rate is fairly high. So it's just going to be an ongoing process. But we have increased the pay rate for some people. So they're making, more money and stuff like that, and per diem for overnight shifts and things like that. Again, all that's above sort of my head. But I know that, yeah, that's really one of the things. I know that they've put every effort that they could into their hiring processes and stuff to keep those lines manned and going.
Now I know with the peer support system, is that run through your? Do you guys have like an in-house program that if people want to volunteer or become part of?
So right now, the peers, and I don't know this for 100%, but I think I was just looking at one of the job things today, and they have to already have their CPS, their certified peer from the Commonwealth or someplace else, when they apply. They'll get more training on the job, of course, but I think they have to have that CPS to start with.
We have a Elizabeth Santiago checking in, Gail, saying that you're amazing. Thank you for your service. You
Yeah,
know
she's
her?
my coworker. Actually, she's
All
in the
right.
western. She's in the western part of the state. So give her a little shout out to Melissa. And if you're in the western part of the state and you want to be hooked up with one of our reps, Melissa's got your back. She's the girl out there in the western part. She's killing it out there.
Now, that's a question that I kind of was curious about as the number of calls come in. I mean, assumption would say that Boston, of course, has the most volume of calls. But do you see a need for this service out in Western Mass?
Oh, well, there's Melissa, but so you could ask her, but
All right.
she's been going strong since, I mean, she just jumped right in and has been going strong every day. And the folks in Western Mass have been really responsive to Melissa because they feel like a lot of times they've been forgotten, or that they're on the that they're the last ones to be thought about. But honestly, she's out there and she's killing it every single day. And she's there to serve the folks of Western Mass. And she's a one-lady show out there in that whole huge territory by herself right now, because we're down one person. So yeah, Melissa's killing it out there by herself.
Well,
Now,
I
there
mean,
was an old map I used to see that said the world according to Bostonians, and all Western Mass said, "Here be dragons."
Yeah,
So,
something like that.
so she says there's a definite need and we have been embraced. We are actively working with everyone, anyone that will have us. We love Gail.
She's crazy.
And Jimmy James, Gail from Colorado, Army veteran, checks in and says, "Awesome work." So Jimmy, thank you from Colorado for checking in. Um, I got to ask you, ladies. I mean, this is not an easy undertaking. And when I met you in Tewksbury, we got the interview done, and you were off and running. Like, "Hey, nice to see you. I got to go. Bye." How in the world are you all keeping your own energy up to do this and service these people?
I mean, we have our slow moments too, right? So, some of us are more busy than others right now, but I know, and I've been seeing everybody's calendar for the summer. So I would say once April is kind of over, like we're just going like bats out of hell for the next several months. We're going to be at the Westfield Air Show. We're going to be at the Big E. We're going to be everywhere all summer long. We got 5Ks planned and 10Ks that we're going to, and all the different kind of things. I got stuff in the veteran community. So we're just loving it, and that's what we do. We talk to people and bring them the good news, right? We tell them there is hope, and it's us, and we're here to help you, right? We're here to help everybody, which is the great part about my job, right? I love helping veterans. I've done it most of my life, or at least the last 20 years. But this helpline is really meant for everybody. Young people, older people, children, teens, women, men, people of color, because we do have interpreter services available. So people that are not necessarily have not been helped maybe on another helpline, we have interpreter services in 200 languages. So if English isn't your first language, that's okay. We're going to get somebody on the phone that can speak to you in your native language.
that is so important to have.
It almost seems like, Mike, that I'm not. I don't want to bash on the VA, but it's almost like, man, I wish the VA had something like this. I mean, I know they have the helpline. I know they have the helpline, but it's not as like accessible. It seems like. Am I wrong there, Mike? Am I reading this wrong?
No, it's having something on the local level where you're actually talking to somebody in state, and like having a resource close to you is immeasurable. Like the help that provides, and the connection to someone too. Also, as a person, like as a New Englander, like you have that rapport and the bond. Do you guys feel like you guys have that with people when they pick up and talk to you guys?
I mean, I don't take the phone calls, but the idea really is for the call takers to be very engaging with the callers and sort of embrace them in a friendly, non-combative kind of way, and just sort of, I mean, they are going to do that Columbia risk rating scale, that Columbia assessment, just like the VA, but they're going to do it in a more casual kind of talking kind of way, and get the information from the person. And they're there really to just build that rapport and be that kind listening ear on the other end that really hears what the caller is saying.
So you mentioned that you have to be, you know, a BSN or a bachelor's of science, excuse me, or a master's level to, provide services in this program. But it can't just be about that, right? You have to, as a provider, really have empathy and want to care for your fellow human being. I mean, how do you? I'm just curious. Not everybody has that. So how do you find that to
Well,
help
I
you with
mean,
this?
that's the whole thing. Look, it's not a job for everybody, right?
Right, right, right.
Just like being in the army, we're 1% of the population, right? We know that because if it was for everybody, everybody would do it, right? It's not for everybody. It's not an easy job. The burnout rate is high. Mental health professionals are lacking all across the country um, for that specific reason, right? So you just have to, I mean, you have to do a lot of self-care in these type of jobs. You have to take care of yourself on the weekends, at night. Um, and if it's not for you, I mean, that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody, but man up, say it's not for me, and move on, and let someone else who wants to do it do it. I mean, that's kind of it. It's not everything is made for everybody, right? So it's okay. I mean, that's really okay. That's what makes us all different, right? That we can fill these roles sometimes that other people can't fill or don't have the desire to fill or whatever.
It would just say to me that the person providing the service is not only, special in the fact that they're qualified, by their education training to do it, but they're also, special in the fact that they have a real desire to help. And I got Jimmy saying it comes naturally. Elizabeth saying she says, I think that I'm this industry that you make a conscious effort to work on it. It's intrinsic. I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's an intrinsic desire in yourself to do this kind of work, and that's really amazing.
Yeah, but again, I mean, when you, let's just say, go back to your basic training or go back to your boot camp. I mean, you knew at the beginning who was not going to make it through and who wasn't meant to be
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? I mean, and that's okay, because it's a hard job, right? Being in the military is a hard job. It's not for everybody. And if it's not for you, that's okay. Move on, and somebody else will jump in and do it. Just like being a firefighter or a policeman or any of those kind of hard jobs. Those are hard jobs. They see things and do things that other people don't do on a daily, right? So they're hard jobs, and it's not meant for everybody. Some people are meant to be nurses. I don't want to be a nurse because don't want to see people's blood all the time. You know what I
I
mean?
wouldn't want to give shots. Forget that, Gail. Shot day scares me still.
There you go. So like, you do what you can. You do what's good for you, right? You do what comes natural to you, right? And that's what they say, right? A job is not a job if it's something that you love, right? Or it's not a hard job if it's something that you love. I mean, everybody has bad days. I have bad days. We all have bad days sometimes, but I mean, if you get up, you know, uh, nine, nine, 9 times out of 10 and you are ready to go to work and do your job, then that's what makes it easier, and what's makes it a job for you. But if you get up every day and you're like, then maybe it's time to look elsewhere. I don't know.
It just, in a world where, somebody who plays not themselves and sports figures and this and that, these people to me, I don't know about what Mike thinks. I'm sure he agrees with me that these people to me are heroes. I mean, in every sense of the word.
Look, I think anybody that's working the whatever midnight to 7 a.m. shift tonight at the call center, those guys are killing it, right? Because they're up in the middle of the night when I'm asleep or when I should be sleeping, but for them, they're pulling that night shift and they're holding that night shift down. And that's commendable, to do that kind of work, because it ain't easy. And, but you're there in the middle of the night to be that compassionate voice on the phone, to listen to someone who may be at their wit's end, and you gotta talk them through it and help them get through that night.
Now, when you're talking with these folks, do you notice that there's a still carryover on the total population side that the military has, like the stigma that we have on our side, seeking mental health? Is that stigma is the overall population as well?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of communities have stigma in their own ways, right? Some,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not of the Hispanic ethnicity, but Melissa will tell you that a lot of a lot of Hispanic men won't make the call, right? It's just not, you know, it's not in their culture, right? Or they, uh, when they were converting, when they were doing um, the flyers over, right? They were trying to put it in put it into different languages, and some languages don't even have words for mental health. Like they just don't have that translation because in their culture they just don't have it. Like they don't talk about it. So there is a lot of taboos in other, so like in the military, you're broke if you go to the TMC or whatever, you're broke, oh blah, 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 and it's just like, so it does get that taboo, right? But in other cultures it's not that you're broke, but it's like we don't talk about that here, you know I mean, it can be cultural for sure.
Well, it just seems like looking at the website and before we talked and then after we talked and after the show, I looked at the website and I'm like, it seems like Massachusetts in the prior and current administration said, you know what, we're going to try to get the help out before the problems become bigger problems, and maybe the community as a whole will benefit. Question here from Barbara. How do we reach out to that community? I'm thinking she's talking about the community that won't emote, won't reach out for help because they think it's taboo.
So luckily for us, we have our print material comes in 13 languages, printed material. Right now, I don't think all of it's ready. I know our Spanish and our Portuguese is ready, but we'll have it in Russian. We'll have it in Chinese. We'll have it in I think Arabic. I mean, I can pull up the website, but we're going to have it printed in 13 languages that people recognize. We're going to have it in Khmer for the population that speaks Khmer. So we are going to have it in different languages that they can understand what it is and how to use it.
So wait a minute. The thing that I want to emphasize is this isn't really launched yet. You're still in like you've
Well,
launched,
no, I mean, we're launched for sure.
but not like full on.
Well, yeah, no, we are launched full on, but we
Okay,
just
okay.
haven't done our ad campaign
All
hasn't
right, all right,
kicked off
all right.
yet. So our ad campaign is supposed to kick off sometime around the middle of April. So again, everything that all the calls and all the calls we've gotten and chats and texts and things like that is either word of mouth or people going on our website and clicking on the website, but really it's just people like you, me, and Mike just talking about it, talking to each other, putting it on our individual Facebooks and our individual Instagrams and whatever. So yeah, it's really just word of mouth at the moment because the official ad campaign hasn't kicked off.
And the number is 833-773-2445.
Yes, 833-773-2445.
And that in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. So the website's in the chat. You had the number in the chat. That's pretty cool. And it's right there for you. And you know, I got asked, I know we covered it in the show, Gail, but I got asked again about the discretion piece. If I am a veteran or I am servicing in as a first responder or law enforcement, will what I say to a counselor get back to my job? I'm really scared about that. And I said, no, I don't think so. But I was wondering if you could talk about
I
that real
mean,
quick.
we're covered by HIPAA too, right?
Yeah.
So we're covered by HIPAA regulations. We can't just go and disclose this information to people. If I think if there's going to be any disclosure at all, the person has to sign and say that it's okay to disclose that information because we're not giving out information, just willy nilly to anybody that, says, hey, I'm I'm so-and-so's job, tell me about him. No, that's really not it. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
Okay. So I'm just excited. I mean, like I said, I had a great time, going to Tewksbury, sitting in the library and talking with you. Um, and then seeing the reaction from our talk in the show. And I'll pull up the link here, ladies and gentlemen, put in the chat. But I think what I liked is people were like, "Yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, this is something that we should have already been doing. Let's get behind this. People want to support this." Are you finding that to be the case?
Yeah, I mean, we've been, people again are, like you said, question whether, their how their insurance is going to be billed or not billed, or whatever. So we always get questions like that. But honestly, we've been embraced pretty well. I've got communities that have called me back a couple of times. Melissa can tell you she's crushing it out there by herself out in Western Mass. And we have folks in Central Mass. We have folks in the Southeast and in Boston. And those ladies in Boston, they're killing it. So yeah, we're busy girls. We're busy girls. I honestly haven't been out in the community as much as I like, but I will be. My calendar's getting pretty full again, and I've gotten to tour some of the community-based community behavioral health centers. So I can tell you that they're doing their bit to get up to speed and get ready for what's coming. Yeah. So they've got new contracts, with us and with the state. And they've got new requirements that they have to meet under those contracts. So they're getting ready for that too. They've increased their pays out in some of these community-based centers to bring in more people. They're offering different incentives and things like that, because again, they find the turnover rate is hard too. So again, this is you got to pay people what they deserve for the kind of work that they do, right? So
Sure.
even these community-based centers have, when I went out there, they're like, yeah, we're paying people more, because they want to get people to come back into the field, and so yeah, it's happening. It's definitely happening.
So Jimmy James from Colorado was like, "This is like a futuristic vet center." I think that's pretty cool. Barbara Gale replied, public health number one. Go to leaders in the community that you want to reach and partner with them. I think you guys are kind of doing that already with the community centers. Um, you know, oh my God, we're at a half hour already, Gail, and it's just
No way.
flying by.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. I
right,
feel like
right.
I've been here for 5 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, time fly. I mean, when you're having fun, time just flies. So, speaking of fun,
Speaking of fun, so we do callbacks. You know
you
that. I
do.
told you that, right?
You
So,
did tell me that. So, just explain how that works.
if somebody calls the center and gets, calls the call line, and we do that warm handoff to a provider in the community, we're doing callbacks with those folks. We're doing, if it's a community service kind of referral, we're doing like 10 to 14 days on those. We're calling people back. If it's if they're waiting for an appointment, we're calling every 48 hours to make sure that they're going to get back in. And then, for the emergency, we're calling every hour. We're calling every hour with them until somebody can get out to them. So we're not just leaving people hanging. We're calling up. We're saying, "Hey, how was that? Did you get the services you need? Oh, you were unhappy? Okay, how can we make you happy?" You know what I mean? You didn't like the person you spoke to, or you didn't get to see a doctor in the time that you wanted to see them. Well, let's see what we can do better. We want to
So,
know. We want to know the good, the bad, the ugly too, right? Because how do you improve? You only improve
right,
if
right,
people
right.
tell you, what has gone wrong, right? So if everybody just says, everything's just fine, then we just go along and think everything's just fine. But if people on these return calls tell us, hey, that didn't work. I need some more resources, or, I missed my appointment. I couldn't get to my appointment. We're trying to fix those things and get them follow up and find out what's going on. Why didn't they go to the appointment? What happened? Was the wait too long? Whatever. We're trying to reassess. And if they need to go through the whole sort of assessment again, we'll do that too. I mean, we don't want people hanging out there in the community, just hanging out there, oh, well, I called and nothing happened, right? We want to follow up on that and find out what did happen. Are they okay?
There's no black hole here.
Yeah, we don't want that black hole, right? So
Right.
That's why we're doing the follow-up, which is, I think, really key, because I don't think any of the other lines do that. We do have connections with 988, 211, BSAS, and all the other state lines. They can refer to us, we can refer to them. So we do have that ability. We can backdoor 911 if we have to in a pinch. We don't want to, because we want to let those guys be free to do what they do. But, we do have that ability to transfer calls back and forth between some of these lines.
Awesome. Well, Jimmy James says he's loving the energy tonight. I am too. Mike, any questions? Any thoughts on this, man? This is just, like so new.
So, Gail, for like me personally, I have an issue sometimes when I go to back to see my PTSD doc, or I get back into the swing of things with my psychiatrist. Like, I wind up shooting myself in the foot, and I, miss an appointment, or I fall off track a little bit, and now all of a sudden I've missed one appointment, I've missed two, I've missed three, and now I feel like I'm stuck and I don't know where to go. Do you guys have
so that's important why we do the follow-up, right? Because we would maybe catch Mike somewhere in between that fall off, right, where he's saying he missed his appointment, or he didn't, something happened and he didn't want to go, or whatever. We're going to get him before it gets to that really dark place for him. We're going to catch that, right? So that's really awesome. I mean, I've missed VA appointments. I've been like, oh, and then I have to call and, apologize to my doc for missing my appointment. Gee, doc, I'm sorry, I missed my appointment, or whatever. And, beg him to reschedule me or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the important things of the follow-up, right? We can catch some of that stuff.
And catch it now. It's almost like you're catching Pokemon in a way there, Gail. I'm just saying.
That game, what's that game? Find Pokemon or whatever.
Got to catch them all. But I don't know. It just seems to me like it's this no man left behind kind of thing. And I love the fact that, of course, we'd have somebody from, the veteran side, doing this. And just to go back a little bit, how has your veterans experience, and you've been involved on the state level in veteran services for a while, how has all that helped prepare you to take this challenge on?
I mean, in a way, it's good, right? Because we are contracted through a state agency, through the Department of Mental Health. So, sort of knowing a little bit about the way government works, has certainly benefited me, because I know, oh, I get it. That's how the state works, or that's how the federal government works, right? I get it, So none of the things that happen really shock me. When it comes to that stuff, I sort of get it. We got a lot of hands in the pot, right? A lot of cooks in the kitchen, and a lot of chiefs to answer to, but that's okay, right? I mean, again, we have a lot of eyes on us right now, just watching what we're doing and seeing if we're successful and seeing how to make things better. And that's what we want, right? We want people telling us, do this because it will be better.
I can't believe our government is working this way.
Well, I mean, look, they knew that there was stuff what happened was, the emergency rooms were becoming boarding centers for mental health people, right?
Right.
They were just boarding people with mental health issues in the ER, which was crowding up the ERs, and the people in the ERs couldn't do what they needed to do. They recognized this was a problem and that they needed to fix it. So this is really the genesis of this program, because we can't be stopping people from doing what they need to do in the capacity that they need to do it in, because it's being misused, right? So this is an effort to sort of fix some of those wrongs that have sort of gradually taken place, and we want to make it better, right? So
Let's see. We got Elizabeth checking back in. You're an asset, Gail, and you're an awesome and treasure trove of experience. Just saying. Well, yes. She also talks about the jails being a focal point.
yeah, because again, we don't want the jails, like, people with mental health problems really and just ending up in jail, right? Like they're not going to get the treatment that they need there, right? So, if we can help prevent some of that, I think that's what Melissa was referring to, right? Keeping them out of the jails, keeping them out of the ERs, keeping them out of places that they don't belong, because they're not, they're not criminals, and they're not sick like they have an emergency at the emergency room. They just have a mental health issue that they're trying to that they're battling with, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Jimmy chimes in and says, uh, and it speaks to what you did, in your professional life after the Army, where the way you take care of your fellow squad extends out to the greater community now. I think it's just a really awesome story to tell. As you ramp up for this wider push, um, do you have any, as far as you can tell, any victories, like what's it like when you hear about somebody who got help that they might not have gotten otherwise? What's that do for you all?
Oh, I mean, we love it when we hear everybody loves a success story, right? That's
Yeah.
just awesome. Like,
Mhm.
we love that. Um, and again, they're not personal wins for us, right? They're wins for the individual, they're wins for the family, they're wins for the community, right? Because this person is still in the community, still thriving, so it's not really a win personally for me, but it's a win for the whole community if someone, is successful. And we love to hear those stories. We love a good story, something that comes out well. And we've had a few. I don't have any off the top of my head. I wish you had told me. I would have probably grabbed one, but we love a good story. And we love to be able to hear that we've done something right. Just as much as we want to hear that we've done something wrong, we want to hear that we've done something right too. Because again, that's what keeps people motivated, right? When they hear, oh, you did an awesome job, or you did a good thing, or this person is doing much better, or, we love those stories, right? We love to hear that someone's doing better than they were when they made that call.
Do you ever see this being implemented on like the federal level, or maybe on a regional level, with states sharing information like data and resources with each other?
I mean, you know, who knows what the world's going to turn out to do, right? I mean, I would love it. They're doing a similar thing, I think, in New Hampshire, and there's a couple of other states that are doing similar things. So, I mean, probably will make sense at some point to have that conversation, right? Like, how do we make this a national program? But again, that's above my pay grade, huh? So.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, I mean, we'll see. One state becomes two, becomes 15, becomes all 50. It'd be pretty awesome. Um,
But again, right? So we've like, all right. So they said yesterday, my boss sent out something yesterday and said, I need a counselor, and I don't know how we ended up with it, but she said, I need a counselor that can see somebody one person lives in New York and the other person lives in Mass. So we need a counselor that's licensed in both states and takes X, Y, and Z insurance or whatever. And I mean, I was Googling like crazy trying to find somebody, you know what I mean? But that's the kind of stuff that, those questions are hard, right? Like, but it's great if you can find those resources for someone that's maybe not in your state, but you have a way to help them anyways, or you can send them to the helpline that's in their state, right? That knows all those state resources. It's great if somebody from Connecticut calls our line and says, look, I'm in Connecticut. This guy lives on the border, right? Lives in whatever those border towns are down there, right? But he needs some help here in Massachusetts, and sends him our way. And we have all those community resources and things that maybe Massachusetts has, like Chapter 115, which no other states have, right? So I'll just put in a plug for that. Thank you to my VSOs.
Mass Vets, it's now called.
Yeah, Mass Vets. But there's just so, like, I'm just saying, we have that resource that maybe they wouldn't have in Connecticut. But if we could talk to them, or they could talk to us, which I think they have, then we can connect them to those type of resources,
Awesome.
And every state borders some other state, right? So, except for maybe Alaska, they border Canada.
Okay. And Alaska comes to mind, and Hawaii comes to mind. Yeah. That's the only two that I know of. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It just seems like a step in the right direction.
Well, I mean, I hope it is, right? Like, I mean, I'm putting a lot of energy into it. Everybody in my team is putting a lot of energy into getting this word out. And hopefully it is a step in the right direction. I mean, you hear about school shootings and all these things that are really just overwhelming the population, right? I think tomorrow I'm going to a collaborative conference between law enforcement and like schools. Like, it's a collaborative conference between these two entities that are not naturally partners, right? Not naturally aligned with each other because they have different missions, right? But because of the way society is and because of the way the world is today, these two entities have now aligned to come together, to work together, to go through this problem. And I'm there as a conduit or another resource for both of them. So I'm a connector, right? I'm that connecting entity between law enforcement and, say, the school system, right? We're that middle ground, right?
Absolutely.
Because look, if you could stop a young person from doing something bad or horrible, or just making a bad, terrible decision because it's a young person, and we all make bad, terrible decisions when we're young people, right? So you can prevent a young person, then they don't become that person that the law enforcement people have to deal with later on, right? So maybe we can stop that before it happens, right?
Absolutely. And Jimmy James, and he's pretty serious about this, says if you ever need help in Colorado, let him know, and he'll help out if he will. That'd be very cool. I want to just play.
I love Colorado. I lived there for a while, so I love Colorado.
All right. Yeah. I want to say Pueblo area, but I could be wrong. Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong. But I want to play a little game if I could, in all seriousness. But I'm gonna act like I'm the veteran calling the Mass helpline.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah. And the idea is I didn't want to actually call the number, Gail, and get on the phone right now. I don't think that'd be a good idea. But I did kind of want to show how easy it was, because we kind of talked about this in the show, right? Where hey, what? I'm having a bad day. I went to my 5th job interview. I'm having trouble getting gas in the car. My suit's ripped. My wife is stressed, and I just can't seem to get ahead. And I call or text that number, and that number is, and I had the site up here.
833-773-2445.
Thank you very much. I'm glad someone's on today. And then I call and get a, licensed, BS, Bachelor's of Science or Master's level person to help me out. And I say, hey, my name is Travis, I'm having these problems. And I have an opportunity, a space to pour out, man, what is bothering me and why I can't get over it. And,
Right.
and
So we're just gonna, we're gonna treat you with a lot of empathy. We're gonna try and get to the root of it, right? We're gonna ask you, hey Travis, what's going on? And you're gonna tell me, right? You're gonna give me your 20-minute spiel about, my dog pooped in my shoe, and then my kid won't go to school, and my wife, burnt the dinner, and whatever
right, right.
the problems are. And I'm gonna try and find out what supports you have around you, what you have available, and then I'm probably going to ask you, are you suicidal?
And
That
okay, so let's just say and I'm not suicidal in real life. I'm not. But let's just say for the sake of this context of this argument that I say, yeah, yeah, I'm suicidal and I just don't know what else to do, and this is why I'm calling.
So then they're
What?
going to take it, sort of that next step further. They're going to ask, do you have a plan? What is that plan? And then depending on your answers to that, then they're going to sort of start to ramp things up, right? And maybe mobile crisis does need to be called at that point, but they can't get there right away. So they're going to start doing some safety planning with you. They're going to ask you about, do you have weapons? Do you have a lot of medication in your house? What are some good things we can, try and do to keep you safe in this time frame? Is someone with you? Is there somebody we can call? All these sort of things to sort of keep you safe while they try and get someone to you, right? Because look, if you have a gun in the house, or if you have weapons in the house, they're going to want to know, what kind of safety plan you have, and they're going to help you come up with a safety plan for that, or even medications, right? Like, look, I've taken pills before, right? So do you have somewhere where you can lock up these pills, or someone that can give them to you, when you need them, as you need them, instead of just having this, random amount of pills just hanging out, you know what I mean? So they're going to come up, try and do all those kind of safety plans with you to keep you safe, and they're going to get someone to you, right? They're going to want to get someone to you. Either they're going to send out the adult mobile crisis to come to you, or for whatever reason, if they can't get mobile crisis, they're gonna send 911, right? Like, that's just, we're not gonna let anything happen to Travis, right? We're
Right.
gonna keep you on the phone. We're gonna talk to you in a calm, relaxed manner. We're gonna ask you questions, and we're gonna try and find out, what is the root of what you're going through, right?
So this is not. So the reason I kind of want to go through this is I'm trying to communicate that, hey, when you call this line, you're going to get like real help. You're not going
Yeah,
to have
we're not
somebody.
hanging up on you, right? I'm
Right,
not
right,
gonna hang up on you. If we're gonna be on the phone an hour, Travis, we're gonna be on the phone an hour. Like, I'm gonna stay on this phone with you until it's either safe for me to hang up, or you've gotten to a place where you're safe. But I'm not hanging up that phone until I know that you're safe, right? Until we've gotten you someplace where you're safe. Because that's just not what it's designed to do, right? We're not there to give you a bunch of numbers and tell you, oh, Travis, tomorrow you'll feel much better. Call these numbers and they'll help you. No, that's not happening, right?
Take 2 of these and get back to me.
Yeah, take 800 milligram Motrin and hope your arm doesn't fall off. Like, you'll be okay, right? No, we're gonna stay on that line with you until somebody shows up at your place. And whether it be, maybe your spouse was working overnight or working at her job at the diner or whatever, wherever she works. Maybe we had to call her, and tell her to come home. And and be with you because you're not doing well, right? But we're gonna stay on that phone until we can get you safe.
I think that's just, you know, an amazing aspect of that program because people might be hesitant to call because like, okay, I'm going to be told, like Michael said, you know, hey, here's two tablets, call me tomorrow, or here's a bunch of numbers, call me tomorrow, and it's not going to be that way. And I think that's what sets you all apart. Um,
Yeah, no, we're not there to give out a bunch of numbers. Well, I mean, if you called and you weren't in a crisis and you just needed those kind of supports, you just needed some community supports, we could give you those connections to the community supports for sure. But if you're in the type of crisis that you're saying that you're in, that you have all these issues going on and that you just don't know what to do anymore and you are suicidal and you have a plan, you know, that's a whole nother level of we need to make sure Travis is safe, right? So we're going to stay on that phone with you until someone gets there.
awesome. Awesome. Well, we got like 8 minutes left. Time flew by. Um, you know, Michael, you know, any thoughts on this? I mean, you know, talking to Gail live like this and hearing the aspects of this program that, you know, in some ways are, you know, different, new, and, you know, light years ahead of a lot of other people.
Two questions I have. One is, do you guys use things like psych armor and stuff like that for like training for like help with like people with to understand veterans as they call in this line?
So that is an actually good question regarding veterans specifically. So in the contract, I think that all the call takers have to be trained in military cultural competency. Now, who they're using for that, I couldn't say, but that is in part of the contract, right? So they will, if they haven't been trained yet, they will be trained. So that's an awesome thing. Psych armor is awesome, right? We know that. But we have a lot of experts here in the Commonwealth, right? We have our whole National Guard that has a training unit and different folks. So I'm sure they have somebody in mind. I just don't know who it is at the moment. But they will be getting that kind of training, as well as other culturally competent trainings that they need to go through. LGBTQ, you know, people of color, all of those different trainings that, you know, keep people sort of knowledgeable about what's going on in the world and how to relate to different people, right? They're going to go through all of those different kind of trainings over the course of their lifespan at, you know, at the call center.
And the other thing I had was I'm a trainer for QPR. Do you guys have a specific gatekeeper training that you guys like prefer
So
over another?
I did. So I went through training. It was like 3 weeks long for me. I had to do a training. I want to say it was with the National Suicide Prevention Group. But yeah, they have different. They have different. Plus, it's a huge corporation, right? So they have their own in-house trainers for a lot of things too. So yeah, there's always training, and I don't know if they've done QPR specifically, but I personally have done QPR. You know, I think that whatever training that you have, because I've done, what was the other one I did too? I think I did assist training at one point, which is another type of suicide training. And I think, look, whatever works at that moment, right? And really, it's about creating a relationship with the caller over anything, right? And getting them to talk about it, and you know, keeping that person occupied in that time frame.
And it is too, you know, we talked about the success stories, you know, having the, you know, people out there that aren't involved in the call center that, you know, that want to get involved, that they can do things like the QPR training and the gatekeeper training to better look out for your friends and neighbors, and loved ones, that you can learn the signs, you can learn what's going on, and there are great opportunities out there. So definitely, take that. And we love having people come on and talk about their successes here, and like having you guys on tonight to talk about this is a success story for us. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, like even us, they've been like, if there's a training you guys need to go to or want to go to, let us know. Like, I mean, so even me just being out in the community, there's certain trainings I feel like I should at least be familiar with or have an idea about, right? So they do trauma informed training and all of that stuff. So, um, there's a whole list. I could probably send it to Travis of all the trainings that the call takers have to have, but it's a lot.
Well, it's just again, kind of like the original time we talked, or the first time we talked. Gail, the time is flown by. We're winding down, and I just want to. We know you're busy, and we just want to thank you for coming on and sharing with us. And the fact that this message got out to a national audience was really cool. You know, we're seeing, I mean, 6,000 calls just in the Commonwealth is just a really the need is there and help is
Well,
here.
like I said, I think, 6,000 calls without an ad campaign. That's the thing, right? No
Right, right.
ad campaign. So that's just you, me,
grassroots.
Mike, just talking to each other, saying, help is here, right? Call this line, right? And, I mean, I don't know what all those 6,000 calls have been about, but you know what? In some way, we touched the lives of 6,000 people already. Plus, that doesn't include the text or the chats, because I'm not sure of those numbers, but those are up there too. I know they're over 2,000. So you're talking 8,000, 10,000 people, in just such a short time, right? Like that's a lot. That's a lot of people just in this short amount of time. That we've been up and running to touch their lives in hopefully a positive way, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is what it's all about. And we're hoping that people, will check this out, and understand that, we are resilient. Yeah, life can be like war sometimes, but war means, we are resilient. And I think the common theme is, Mike can say it, I can say it, and we know it. Help is here. Help is
Yeah.
here.
Look, it's not going to be the answer for everyone, just like everything, right? We just want to be part of the solution. We want to be part of that toolbox. We want to, as I said the first time we met, we want to be that front door that opens and be that door that leads you to whatever resources you need. So we want to open that front door and be that resource. And we don't want to take anything away from the good work that other people do, right? Because good people are doing good work all over the place, and we need them to keep doing it. And we just want to be another tool in that toolbox.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Travis Parrington, Marine Corps veteran and host of Oscar Mike Radio. I'm with Michael Geary, U.S. Army veteran and founder and executive director of Hellfish Haven. And we were joined tonight by Gail McAuliffe with Mass Helpline. Help is here. Gail, again, we got the decals for you. That's how they got created. We took an idea and ran with it, and we'll get some to you. And we just, appreciate you and your team, everything that you're doing for people in Massachusetts.
Well, like I said, I'm happy to come on anytime, talk to you guys, even if it's just to pop in and say hi, how you doing? But I'm gonna try and catch up with you, Travis, later in the week and bring you some more materials so that you can give them out to people in your community as you travel about.
Well, thank you very much. Michael, any closing thoughts as we wind this down?
I did get a chance to stop to Saugus to the VSO and armed him with all the things he needed. And these connections that we're making here on We Are Resilient just keep to, surprise me and, make me know that we're doing something right here. I appreciate, everything that you've done, Travis. I appreciate Gail coming on tonight and,
Thank you.
sharing the message.
All right.
I
Well,
appreciate you guys too. Thanks so much.
No problem at all. No problem at all. We'll see you soon. We are resilient. We're going away now, but we'll be back next Wednesday and talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.